All right, everyone, welcome back to our session 5, the last session in this masterclass on engaging with youth. Today, we're going to do something a little different. It's not going to be a traditional teaching and discussion time, but I have invited some people on here where we're going to just have about a 25-minute dialogue on how do we bridge the gap of different generations? And hopefully, as we discuss and share with each other, we can gain a better understanding of how to relate to the different generations on the earth right now, how to honor different generations that are on the earth right now, and how to lead together and do stuff together with different generations. Mm-hmm. So on this table, we'll do it a little different. I want you to share your name and what generation, how old are you, and what generation that you are a part of. And so we'll start with me. So my name's Rory, and I am a millennial. I was born in 1989.
I'm Mari. I was also born in 1989, and I guess I'm a millennial.
Luke. My name's Luke. I was born in 2004, and I'm Gen Z.
Yay, 2004!
And then I'm Haverly, and then I'm also Gen Z, and I was born in 2000.
And I'm Dante. I'm a 90s baby, born in 94, and right on the edge of, I guess, Gen Z and millennial, but I am a millennial.
You're a millennial.
Yeah.
And so now that you've gotten to know all of us here, we're just going to have a discussion around how do we bridge the gap and what does it mean to honor and connect with different generations, because people think differently. And I think the first question I would love to dialogue is, in your own words and in your own experiences, what do you feel like you need to feel seen, known, loved, and valued?
That's good.
What do you need from somebody? So if you were to be Gen Zers or us millennials, what do you need?
I think for me, like in my experience, something that I need is like I value connection with people, but not like we can connect with people, but people who will like sit down and listen to what you have to say and almost appreciate where you're coming from, like with the lens of like, I may be older than you and not understand what you're really talking about, but I'm gonna sit here and try.
I love that.
Like, I think for me, that's something that like I value, and like just from other older people, just instead of it being like that connection where it's like, oh yeah, we can talk, but it's like, oh, you're gonna like come down to where I'm at and at least like seek to understand.
Yes.
In a way, I guess I feel.
I love how you just said that. You didn't say they needed to get it right. Mm-hmm. They just need to try.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we've been talking about this whole masterclass is actually the process of leaning in is more valuable than even getting it right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, I would almost even agree in a similar way. Like, I would say connection and communication. I feel like communication is a big one for me to just feel heard and seen, is by like someone, like whether it's taking the time or even saying like, oh, I hear what you're saying, or hey, even if it's, I don't understand that, but I can try to figure out where you're coming from. Let's talk about this more. Let's dialogue this. What are some other things you're thinking about? Things like that. I think connection for me sometimes looks a lot like communication as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of belief that I think the question is there space for me here? Is do you believe in me enough to give me space in your thing? Do you want what I feel like I have to give? Do you am I needed in that space? I would say that's some of the things that I would want to hear, if it was from Gen X leaders or other spaces where it's,
That's great. What about you?
I would say I probably just need to know that you care about me. I don't really care necessarily where you're going, as long as you care about me. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm willing to follow someone as long as I know we're on the same team.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like that. Almost like Dante, that there's this belief in me and you value me and you care about me beyond what I can do for you.
Yeah.
But just because you love Mari I would probably, I'm a loyalist, and I would be like, yes, I will follow you anywhere.
Yep.
If I'm on your team and you believe in me and you care about me, I'm with you. You know?
Good.
I
It's a-
probably also need some space too.
Oh, you do. Yeah.
Because if you're like, if you are a dominating,
if you're
talker?
micromanaging Mari, no way.
well, not just that, like if you are a dominating force, I may not interject my opinions unless given the space.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Like I might need Mari, what do you think about this? For me I have to be super confident and fully know that I'm fully believed in before I interject willingly.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
So I think personality-wise, I might need the space given to hear my thoughts.
That's so crazy because I'm listening. I agree with both of you. I need high belief. Like belief in space is like my number one. I'm like, I need to feel believed in and then that there's space for me.
Yeah.
I don't actually need to do everything.
Yeah.
I just need to feel like I'm believed in and there's space. Because if there's no space, I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know why I'm showing up.
Yeah, exactly.
What's fascinating is that if we just break down just this table alone, now again, this does not represent all of Gen Z, all of millennials. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
totally.
that. It's just fascinating that all three of us would use the word belief because that was the first word I thought of. I was like, oh, I need belief. And then you said, I was like, yeah, that's what I need belief. Like, that's what I need. If we're going to have a great relationship, I need to know that you believe in me.
Yeah.
And both of you guys need to be heard. Both of you are like, oh, the value of being heard and connecting, and listening is so valuable. It's huge.
Yeah.
Where not one of us said to be heard. It was belief. That was not my forefront. Was not being heard or communication. Mine was, oh, I need to be believed in. Meaning, I need you to show me belief, not listen.
Yeah.
Because I've had people listen. I'm like, okay, that feels great, but I actually need to be believed in.
Yeah.
We have 5 people here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this represents everyone.
No,
It's
yeah.
just fascinating already how you can have similarities within people
Yeah.
that you would be able to find that you
So
go, oh,
interesting.
there's
Yeah.
some similarities that exist. Now, how do we overcome that? Because you're like, both are very valuable. Like the ability, the need to be heard and to be connected with and communicated to, very
Yeah.
valuable.
Mm-hmm.
The need to be believed in and created space, very valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. And if anybody else has any questions, ask. Like, I'm not the
Yeah.
only one that needs to ask questions. I'm just
Yeah.
dialoguing.
Yeah.
Because something I've noticed is that because of we're seeing it right here. There's different needs and different values that seem to be highlighted in different groups of people. One of the bigger values that I have seen in like a Gen X and in boomers that is a huge value is vision.
Yeah.
It's a huge value. I hear about it a lot. We're led by people that word is used. It's a value word. It's a big thing. They would probably say, what do you need
It's
to
so
follow
important.
somebody? Most people that
Yeah.
would be older than me would say, I need a clear vision.
Yeah.
Where that actually word didn't show up to any of us. Isn't that weird? That not one person, what do you need from people? I need a clear vision. Nobody thought that. I was like,
Yeah.
actually, no, it's a personal. I actually need, millennials are, where do I show up? And you're like, connect with me.
Yeah.
Like, I actually don't even care where we're going.
Yeah.
I don't.
But vision,
I mean, I do. But
you do, but like,
Yeah,
but
but
it's not the
It's not
forefront.
the forefront.
It's a value. We all care
Yeah.
about it. We're like, yeah, I want to make
Right,
sure we're
right.
following Jesus and we're going that.
Yes.
But I don't care as much as the values of the older generations have had.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful thing
It
Yeah.
is
because
still important.
it's so valuable. What do you guys think happens though? Because now we can just see in a small space. You can actually do this. I've done this now with groups of people, a small space.
Yeah.
That you're like, how do we bridge gaps when we have vision being sometimes the most important thing in one generation, then
Yeah.
belief being the most important thing in one generation, then personal connection and being seen being the most important thing in one generation? How do we bridge these gaps? Because they are causing
Yeah.
conflicts.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Obviously, they're causing disconnection across the board,
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah. One thing that came to mind was, and at least, my experience in like seeing other people as well as like, when you talk about the vision, it's like these Gen X boomers, whatever, like have the vision, and in a way, I feel like what breaks like connection with like my generation for me has been like when they almost try to place their vision on this generation, and it's like you're trying to work up this like, and it's been like that for other generations as
For
well,
sure.
but it's like in a way they're trying to conform, like trying to be like, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to, but like this, I feel like for me and other people, it's like, no, like, I don't want to feel like you're trying to just place this on me. Like, I'd rather you, like, the connection, like, come meet with me and be like, hey, what do you want to do? And let's form a vision for what you're passionate about, or what this is what
Yes.
your dreams and your aspirations with your life. And sometimes it's like, I can see how people just in general want to, like, kind of rebel when people are trying to force
Yeah.
their own, like
Plan.
dream, like, because I see so many times people too, it's like your family, or like how do I explain this, like there's a lot of people I know, and like even myself, where it's like, I don't want to be like that person. I don't want to be like them. I don't want anything to do with how their life is lived. And so it's like their vision of what you're supposed to be, it's like, no, I don't want that.
Yep.
And then you begin to drift away because you're like, I don't even want to go down that road, or how they're trying to. So yeah, I feel like in a way, like to build that aspect is to just be more willing and able to meet, like, just meet where they're at, where we're at, and just be like, hey, like, I'm here
and
for you. And
I would say I can attest to that, because I would say at one point I felt like I was getting tired of hearing the word vision.
yeah.
Because
Oh, no.
I'm like, but like I have a respect for it, because I know, like, oh, you
Yeah.
fought for things,
Yeah.
and there's
Yes.
things that you've gone after, and so
Yes.
you're voicing this vision from experience, which is valuable.
Yes.
And so I have this tension of like, well, I have these needs and this, but to fully fit in that, I'm like, am I losing what I also see in my
Yes.
perspective and what I also bring? Am I just gonna do what you're asking and carry this out and make you happy, but I have all of these other thoughts
Yes.
that I will also want to bring to the table, and
Yeah.
I'm questioning where does that fit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
And
great.
and that goes back to the need that I feel like I have is that space. Do I have space to bring what I feel like is on me? But I do think that what I'm hearing even in this conversation that I haven't thought a lot about when it comes to even bridging the gaps between generations is needs.
Yes.
Is needs. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like even in this season needs are being highlighted, but there's like this like the bigger truth is that, okay, God, you are all that I need.
Yes.
You are the all-sufficient one.
Yeah.
Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from your mouth.
Yeah.
And then there's this human element of, well, there are certain things that are working within me that I'm trying to figure out, how does this match with the plan that God has?
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know the answer.
But it's
great.
it's the figuring out, how do we start communicating and valuing different perspectives, and realizing that a different perspective is not the wrong perspective, it's different.
It's different, yeah.
And I think something that has happened between generations that has caused so much friction, and almost like you have younger people that are just like, okay, come on, older people,
Yeah.
get out of the way. Okay,
Yeah.
I will serve you until it's my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not serving. That's actually not, we're not actually benefiting
Yeah.
the church. We're not benefiting momentum, future, anything, if that's the thought.
Yeah.
Once the senior pastor retires, once the boss gives it to me, then I can do what I want to do. And even though that can be so in it, because if you are under places that you're like, wow, I'm not believed in, I'm not empowered, I'm not seen, so I will change, I'm going to reject
Yeah.
everything you did, and I'm going to go this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we wonder why that's happening in the church right now.
Yeah.
Like, we have a whole dismantling of core things that have happened in the church for centuries that are pivotal to the life of a believer, that we are throwing out because we're going, don't want that.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're going to try this, not realizing, oh, there are values and beliefs held over here in vision that was fought for, but
That I'm forfeiting.
I'm forfeiting. But how do we mature in multiple generations to go, hey, it will take all of us maturing, going, okay, vision is important, but connection personally is as important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Belief and everybody finding a space at the table is as important. That's what's hard, is that honor piece to go, what you see and what I see is equally important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So hard. I don't know how to do it because you're like, because you see one way. So you're like, I so believe in how I see.
Yeah.
I so believe in what I exactly what I
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
My experience is so real, and you're like, it's true. It is.
Yeah.
It's just not the only experience on the earth,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which can be so hard
Yeah.
because like humans just we are so trained to fight for what we believe.
Yeah, and I wonder if a big part of it is trust. That I will extend trust to you, and you will extend trust to me. That the one that holds the vision will extend trust and say, okay, I will choose to connect, and I might not be thinking so much future when I choose to connect,
Yes.
because it's kind of pulling me out of that, okay, I see this because of what I've learned, but I'm choosing to connect and lean into what you have. And then this person who is see me,
Yes.
and connect, I'm gonna choose to believe that what you see, that there's good in it, that
Yeah.
there's it is a part of the greater plan, and there's this
It's profitable.
this exchange of,
Yes.
of trust,
Yeah.
and and I don't know if that's really done on a macro
Yeah.
level. I think
Right.
it's done in the spaces of where you're doing life on life discipleship,
Yes.
where you're having honest conversations, where it's
Yep.
what are we actually doing,
Yep.
and the cost of that though.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
it's huge.
Yeah.
I do think
Yes.
trust is a huge factor because obviously I was raised by boomers. My parents are boomers.
Yep.
And my dad probably leans more of, I don't care if you like your job, you work.
Yeah.
You suck it up and you work. You know, that's how my dad is.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't like it, you put food on the table. That's what you do. That's where you give your life. And I'm like, I don't want to just make money. I want to like believe in what I do.
Yes.
I want to enjoy what I do.
And every millennial said, amen.
And I will take the lesser pay
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think it's
yes.
more valuable.
It's so
Yes.
true.
You know, and we've had to have conversations because they haven't always agreed with my life choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They haven't always agreed with my job situations.
Yes.
Where I would leave a high-paying dental job to come into ministry. That was hard for my parents
Yes.
because the money wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that, oh, you value this because you were taught to value that. And it's okay that you don't see eye to eye with me on this.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they, as my parents, know that they raised me right. I have a good head on my shoulders, and they trusted me.
Yeah.
And we had to build trust that even though we don't agree on this, we can trust each other. And I'm okay. Like my significance isn't all wrapped up in my parents' opinions.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it is like I still obviously we all heavily value our parents' opinions, but like there's this confidence in me as I've grown up and I've matured that I'm not only needing approval,
Yep.
but I'm just needing that they trust me and that they're there for me, that we're doing this together, even if we don't agree.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, and I think part of what helps bridge gaps, I would say, correct me if I'm making too bold of a statement. I don't want to make a bold statement, but I think sometimes without empathy, empathy is the bridge. Like to me, I'm like, if you have one generation here, empathy to see from a different perspective,
Yeah.
to go, wait, you value working hard and having money because your parents, my grandparents, were in the Great Depression.
Yep.
So right away, I know. Wait, why are my grandparents so aware of money?
Yeah.
And then how did my parents have that strong value for working hard and money?
For
Why?
sure.
Oh, you have a Great Depression, an experience in a generation where instantly everyone is working hard, barely making it. Lots of pain.
Yeah.
And this is obviously American culture. This is
Yeah.
not for across the
Oh,
board. We're talking
yeah.
America,
American, yeah.
American culture.
Yeah.
So you get the Great Depression, then you get boomers that came out of that, which was breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Then you're moving on to Gen X and on down. You're like, if we can't see experiences of other people,
Yeah.
we don't understand what they fought for, why they fought for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We end up fighting the same battle then.
Yeah.
I think what's happening a lot of times is that because we're not learning from history, generations are fighting the same battle, and it's getting
We don't have
worse
to.
when we don't have to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we don't have to fight for this. we could receive it through inheritance by honor and empathy and going, but it has to go both ways. It's the empathy on the older generation that goes, you're never going to see like me, and I don't want you to.
Yes.
I don't want to put my vision on you. It breaks down if empathy doesn't run both ways. It's a bridge. It's not a one-way street. The younger generation is like, I'll be empathetic. It's going both sides. This is a conversation for everyone. Going both sides has to stop and go, you will always see different than me. I will always see different than you. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's not something to correct. We're not trying to fix a generation. We're not trying to change a generation. We're going, we need to support and through empathy learn from each other so that we can go, hey man, this weapon you got back here, I don't want to refight for it. Hey, this understanding, I don't want to refight for it. Because there's enough giants that we have to fight for. I don't want to fight for the back ones. Like there's already enough we have to deal with. I don't want to fight for previous ones that we already won, that we lost because we didn't steward through empathy.
It's true.
This ability to inherit things, even as generations, as the church, to go, well, we can inherit from people behind us.
It's true.
It's amazing. If we were to use the bridge analogy, I really like the bridge picture. It always feels the most shaky or insecure in the very center of the bridge, and I think it's that vulnerability piece that it's easy for me to stay on my side, but man, when we start to come to that middle and it starts to rock and we're bringing opinions and thoughts, but I
It's a drawbridge. No, it's
it's a drawbridge.
They both have to come down.
Man,
Both generations have to come down.
Yes.
It can't be one or the other. It gotta be both.
Vulnerable, and I think we can't remove that element to know, like, oh no, this will feel,
Yes.
oh, I'm not used to this space. I'm used to just being on my side and being around people that agree with me.
Yes.
Oh, but
true.
to make the bridge happen, it is that space of, man, I'm leaning in and I'm trusting that you're bringing your drawbridge down as well.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
And that's why it's not happening as much. It's so scary.
It's like in a way, like on all sides of it, I don't know, I can see it as being almost like a pride in a way, like you're like, my way is the best way, like your way sucks, or like it could, like I've just seen that it's like there people saying, oh yeah, Gen Z, like this generation, like I've heard it, and it's like, oh, like they're just in the dumps or this and that, and it's like they're almost like, we don't even want to reach because you guys, it's like y'all are too far gone, or in a way,
in our own world.
and I think in our own, and like in your little like social media, so sometimes I feel like it could be like a pride thing in a way, just being like you're saying, like getting real and like being vulnerable and being like, okay.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I've personally had to like empathize with the generation that's before us is the fact that it's hard to let go of something that you have built or given your life to, whether that be a business, a ministry, a movement, an idea. When it's your baby that has grown into something, you're saying, I'm gonna trust you with this, and we're gonna hold this together, and then I'm gonna let you do whatever you want to that thing. And I think the more I've become aware of that reality, that one day I'm gonna have to do that. You know, one day I'm gonna be in that position where my time has come. And it's the Paul, you know, saying I fought the good fight. Timothy, it's your turn. That's like
Terrifying.
Woo! Paul fought for some stuff. Paul saved people on a shipwreck. You know, he got some wins and some victories that he still wants to be in the fight. You know, and so I think I can empathize with that reality that, you know,
100%.
one day we are handing something that we actually love, and if it's painful to give it away, that means you fought for it.
And I think it's even a greater level of importance to go, when you realize how valuable it is of what you fought for, it makes the bridge that much more valuable. Because if you only value what you fought for, but not the bridge that passes it, it gets lost. And that's what we're seeing. Is amazing things that have gotten fought for that got lost. And I'm like, could we be a people that what we fight for, which feels like us, it's like our babies, it's our stuff. Could we make that and the bridge to pass it equally valuable, to go, I need to be connecting with the next generation. They're going to do it differently, but I need them to get the heart.
Yeah.
Like, I have to transfer the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like, what is the most important thing to pass through generations?
Yeah.
The heart of the matter. The why, not the what, not the how, not the this is what you need to do, how you need to do it. This is what success looks like, how you're gonna. It's the heart of the why.
Yeah.
It's
It's almost like the what is negotiable.
Yes.
But the why, that's
the why has to stay. I think this is where a lot of like even senior leaders or leaders that lead ministries that are about to pass, it can be the scariest thing, because what's the first thing? A person comes in, what do they want to do? They want to change.
Yeah.
And so you're like, ah,
Yeah.
freak out. And then you're like, but if you find somebody and you raise up people that carry the heart, the change isn't scary.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know the heart, the change isn't scary.
I think it's also embracing that change is inevitable.
Yes.
Because no matter how much
Yes.
your vision is so specific and perfect,
It still has to
it's going to
change.
manifest differently in this
In
person.
someone else.
The way they can do their best, but
Yeah.
their infrastructure of how
It's gotta
they've been
be
made.
different. It's gonna be different.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think too, just like the honor and value part of it is huge. Like, and that especially on my end, like just like honoring like the legacies, that like the word like legacy of
Yeah,
someone
legacy, yes.
someone else, like, and the heart behind like what they've cultivated. And I think that like that is key, being like you built and you did this and this, and like to honor your legacy, like I want to, like, how do you explain this, like build, like do the things
You wanna protect it.
to protect that. Like, of course there will be change, like you said, because like it manifests differently, but to like going forward, I don't know, for me, I'll always keep in the back of my head, okay, like this is someone else's legacy, like their mantle in a way that
Yes.
I'm taking up, so I want to do my best to like cocoon it.
Yes.
Like it'll change, like, you know, like you cocoon it, it might become like a butterfly in a different way, but you still want
It's
to
so
honor
good.
that.
It's a great thing. It's a similar thing, but it manifests, transforms into something different. And I think
Yes.
the last thing that, I just want to hit on, just because I think it's valuable, is that whatever we're building, when it's kingdom, it's transferable.
Yes. Yeah.
When it's not kingdom, it's not transferable.
Yeah.
And I think something that has hindered the generational gap is that we're trying to pass stuff that isn't kingdom, but is personal preference, or is a good idea that worked in one generation, but it isn't kingdom that transcends time and space.
Yeah.
That goes, hey, this value, this is a value. This thing we fought for.
Yeah.
It's not the what, it's not the how, it's not the what flashy thing it looks like, it's this. And when you have that kingdom stuff that gets transferred, those kingdom realities, it feels like those transfer way easier between generations
Yeah.
than formulas.
Yeah.
Even though formulas are the first things people want to teach, formulas and structures, and this is how you do stuff, and this is the way, and this is all this. Yes, the values actually transcend. They're the things that right now all of us would say, I want to feel known. Yes, I want to be seen. I want to encounter God. I want to have a high value for that. That would, every generation in the same room would go, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, we get away from that. And we start diving into things that I would say they matter, but they don't matter as much.
Yeah.
And so, just a good conversation. Anybody want to add one last thing, or just?
I was just reminded when Luke, you said the thing about the cocoon and the butterfly. I was reminded of Bill. He mentioned something about butterflies and their migration patterns and how it takes I think 3 to 4
It's monarchs. It takes 4 generations.
4 generations
Yes.
for them to get to the destination
And back.
and back.
Yes.
And how monarchs
Yes.
travel. They literally go a certain distance, and then the next generation
And
of
they literally
butterflies.
mate,
Yeah.
die,
Yeah.
are born, and then they keep going.
And it takes 4
Wow.
generations to get to the actual destination.
That they're supposed
Yep.
to go to. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
multi-generational migration, and that right there, that's what I feel like is necessary for this current season, is going, we need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
We
need
do.
people to realize that there is never going to be one generation that makes it anywhere.
Mhm.
And it's the same as Moses got raised up, and then he needed Joshua.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moses, all the promises were that he would take the people into the promised land. And then it was like, hey, actually, you're not going, but good thing you have a Joshua. like you forget, like that was the whole, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, what could we accomplish as the church
Yeah.
if we thought in generations and
Yes,
going,
and
we want legacy and generations and bridging the gap, and we want young people already being pulled in.
Yeah.
They're already a part of the scenario. They're already part of the storyline that we're building. They're not like, wait, when you're older, maybe. Hey, when you prove to us that you can hold a stable job, maybe. Hey, when you have a career and an education, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Right away, you're pulled into the story of God.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
pulled into the story.
And
Yeah.
legacy is, I love that you said legacy, Luke, because I'm reminded of this show. It's about flowers, but there is this lady.
We love our nature shows.
Hey,
We
God
love
is
it.
a gardener.
He
and
is. He loves
okay?
nature.
He loves nature. He made it. So there's this lady that had like the most variety of roses in, I think, all of the world. And she was about to pass, and she didn't articulate each
Species.
variety
of-
and
yeah.
species of roses, and someone had to go into her garden and try to figure it out on their own, and it made the person that went behind her go, I need to make sure what I'm building can be transferred,
Yeah.
because this person wasn't able to do it, but the second person that came behind her saw the value in what this person did, even if she didn't map it out for the next generation. She
Yes.
was like, I'm going to fight to carry the legacy that you built, and I'm going to make sure that my legacy is transferable,
Yeah.
even if it changes.
Yeah.
And that we must like almost remind ourselves that we would rather, if I want to do something as a millennial, I would rather not protect it so much that it dies with me.
Yes.
That it can be transferred to the next
Yeah.
generation, even if it evolves.
If
Yeah.
it changes, and
Yes.
and it's that even every generation has to think in the terms of 2 and 3 generations ahead.
And it was
Yeah.
the fact that she thought legacy inheritance, I want to make it easier
Yes.
for the ones to come after me
Yeah.
to carry what I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I'll end with this thought and let you. But
It's great.
it feels like even like a generation X, that's something that can actually be imparted to Gen Z. Is
Absolutely.
thinking with generations in mind, because Gen Z doesn't really know
No.
the value of legacy, but a Gen X has lived through.
For
it.
sure.
Mhm.
They've
So
received
even
it,
even
yes.
that value, you know, I would
Yes.
say is something that should be transferred.
Yeah,
for
as
sure.
a group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the value of all
It's the
generations.
value, but unfortunately, what's happening is people think to relate, they have to only share what feels relatable.
Yeah.
But in generations, you're like, no, it's the values.
Yeah.
They're going to have a value for something that this generation's never thought of,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great conversation. I love this. Well done. Hope this spurred more thoughts on how to bridge the gap of generations, reach young people, go after Gen Z, and dispel some myths that Gen Z doesn't want any other generation a part of them. It's not true.
Yeah.
I've never found that.
Nope.
I've never found a Gen Zer not wanting to be a part of society.
It's true.
I found them. All I find them to be is craving more connection.
Yeah.
And I'll end with one thing that me and Mari saw, which it was fascinating. We were on a date, and we went to an ice cream shop in town, and all of these families and older people were all around. And this group of teenagers came in, and they got ice cream, and we sat there for probably an hour, and the group of teenagers just sat and talked and ate their ice cream for an hour. Every other table had their phones up. And I laughed, and I said, isn't it weird that we're sitting in an ice cream shop, and the only people connecting are the teenagers, and everyone else would say they're the only ones on their phone, but every other person is on their phone. Every other age, old, middle
All different
age,
generations.
all different generations are represented all on their phones. The only group that never pulled out their phone once in an hour was this group of teenagers. And I realized, I was like, okay, we need different
Maybe,
lenses.
yeah.
We might be projecting something that isn't happening
Yeah.
because we've
It's
been
just not
consumed.
all truth.
It's not all truth.
Yeah.
We're consumed with social media, so we imagine everybody is. I'm like, I don't think everyone is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how people are connecting. And for some reason, it feels like Gen Z has a higher capacity and desire to connect personally than a lot of generations before.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, well, hey guys, that is the end of our masterclass. I really hope that through these last 5 sessions, there were tools and takeaways and new ways of thinking that each one of us can have of how we engage with youth, with the next generation, and how do we start showing up to raise up a generation to carry the things of God in a way that makes change and affects culture in powerful ways. We hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun doing it. And until next time.